way more than anyone else, has been able to make that magic happen.
I very much agree, and that adaptation for both these teams starts in the draft, in this Champion Select powered by HyperX. We'll see if those majors come to the fore for Peyz. Yep. He's been playing a little bit of Echo in solo queue as well. I think we are only at the very superficial level, only above the ice of that iceberg, as to how many majors can actually be played in bot.
I mean, we were talking about this, and it is interesting because when you see so many mid laners getting played in another lane, it's very similar to how when AD carries have moved around the map, you start just taking tips from those lanes, and you're saying, all right, well, Syndra's going to go bot. What's good against Syndra mid? Well, Echo. If this is going to go bot, well, what's good down there? Okay, if people are playing Cassio, can I not just play Anivia into Cassio bot too? And there is that evolution, and that is something that I think a lot of European fans are potentially worried about because Hansama not known for the mage bots. And I do think, while T1's top side, their solo laners in particular, they're not known for their dominance in laning phase. They're known for their incredible team fighting, and Faker for his playmaking, for always finding the angle, always finding that chance to win the game. Peyz and Keria are just different than any other bot laners in the world today. Yeah. These guys are absolute freaks on their champs. They are just unstoppable. And so a big question for me is, can Hansama and Labrov play well enough to give G2 a chance? Because I think that is such a hard thing to do. Peyz and Keria can snowball lanes like no one else in the world.
Entirely agree. I think that is the main focal point for G2. The rest of their team should be able to survive. Caps, if he is on form, I think can take down Faker on current form. We'll see what SkewMond can do as well. He's had a bit of a quiet MSI. For T1, on the other hand, you want to shore up that top side. Doran a little bit weak in lane at times. Faker, great in team fights, but not as powerful through the laning phase as perhaps he could be. Let's get into the draft, though. Poppy, Nautilus, Akali banned away by T1. Orianna, Vi, and Jace taken away by G2. T1 are going to lock in Oner's Nocturne, which he has a 78% win rate on over 9 games in spring. And on the other side, we'll see Jace and Ezreal secured for G2. Jarvan, not Jace. Jarvan obviously very good into those mages bot because they don't tend to have dashes, so you can just look to try and punish them.
It's best to just not look at the stats for a lot of these champions. I mean, T1 is a team that has a 74% win rate in spring, right? And so most of your champs have a pretty good win rate, right? You know, it's kind of like when you're going to draft against some of these players, like, well, you can't give him that. He's got an 80% win rate. Well, you can't give him that. He's got a 95% win rate. You're going to have to play well to win. That is just the name of the game. And T1 obviously looking towards a mage bot here already. The Camille came out, and you knew it was going to be one of those mage pairings. Keria is incredible at playing these aggressive champions. He is a mechanical god, and that is one of the things that really makes them so scary, is that when you're looking at Ziggs, Ziggs is no longer what people used to think about with this champion, where, oh, you just sit back and you farm and you play with Qs. Well, Peyz is using the satchels beautifully aggressively. They are chaining that to set up hook shots. They are looking for all-ins. They're looking for pressure. And it is going to be the Leona, which has not been something we've seen much of at all in quite a while. In fact, only one game throughout all of MSI has been played on it.
And it was a loss.
So it was a loss. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does work out. You know, is the strategy to kind of more focus on Keria himself, try to punish when he goes in for those hook shots? Obviously, you can block it. Leona can be very, very tanky with that W up. So maybe it's kind of that sort of angle. And I'll be curious to see how they look.
Can also punish champions that are a little bit further back. Things like the Ziggs, if their flash is burnt, satchel charge before the solar flare lands on you is very quick reactions if you're able to get out of that. So we'll see if G2 decide to try and punish Peyz in this bottom side.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm thinking about it more through the support matchup, you know, thinking about how people love to play Leona into Nautilus, for an example, because if the Nautilus goes in, you kind of just go on the Nautilus and you are tankier than a lot of these champions. The lockdown could be very difficult to deal with, so was kind of thinking about it through that angle, but of course, as you say, Leona does have backline access as well. Syndra, one of these champions that has really been rising in priority here at MSI, has 6 plays so far and has been looking good at, including a pentakill game for Caps, which was pretty incredible in the top esports series. So
if I'm putting my EU biased fanboy hat on, the last time Caps got a pentakill at MSI, they won the whole thing. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm putting it into the ether.
Yep.
It maybe not going to happen this time with HLE and BOG staring down you, even if you manage to get through T1. But it
could happen.
It's always a possibility. As we see the Ambessa and the Gnar taken away by G2, trying to shore up things for Broken Blade on the top side. Let's see where T1 decide to go with their final ban. It is the Rumble.
Okay, very interesting. So Rumble's getting it taken away, and I know people are very much of two minds. There's such different opinions on Broken Blade, and Should he be playing crazy counter pick? Should he just be playing standard? I personally like it. I am kind of the belief, and I know Inspired has talked about this a lot. You know, someone who has gone toe-to-toe from NA with some of these teams, not been able to take them down, but had some good series. You know, he believes that when you are playing against these top LCK and LPL teams, you kind of need what they call the funny picks, right? You need to be able to surprise them, get things that they are less comfortable on. And that is something that I think is a strength of Broken Blade. Of course, then if you bring out a niche pick and you look bad on it, people are really going to be very quick to criticize you. But I do think it is a strength for them. And this Anivia can be a flex. It can be both mid and top. So that is always nice for G2. They now get to see exactly what the lane matchups are going to be. It is a double Shurima soul laners here. And it's going to be Vayne as the answer. So they maintain the ability to flex the Anivia. And of course now, with that Vayne coming out, that is going to be hunting this Croc here and looking for that 1v1 counter pick. So I do like that a lot, but I will say, having played a lot of top lane, when you are going for these ranged top laners, you need to play aggressive, you need to play in their face, and then I see a Nocturne on the other side, and I get very worried about how that is going to look. I see a Camille on the other side, and I worry about how do you outplay the Camille in some of these situations. So I do think it's going to require SkewMond to adjust his playstyle. I feel like SkewMond is really, really good when he is playing on his tempo, when he's being very efficient. But I feel like this is a kind of game where you're going to see those moments where you need to drop camps and you need to be there protecting BB, because if you're going to invest into a Vayne top, he needs to be able to play aggressive. You can't just have him sitting back and trading farm against the Renekton. He needs to be in his face, which requires the jungler to be behind him.
I also expect the support's likely to go up towards topside for level 1. We've already seen Labrov doing
junglers.
it. The backup junglers, yes. We've already seen Labrov doing it early doors in a couple of their games. Wouldn't be surprised, actually, if Keria just decides to try and match that pressure a little bit to see if Labrov oversteps, because you're not taking your Shield of your Eclipse level 1. Yeah. You're likely taking your Zenith Blade or your Shield of Daybreak if you want the shorter cooldown, if you want to be able to gap close, and then you are a little bit squishier on the Leona. So we'll see what happens on the top side of the map early on as we get into this best of 5 between the best of the LEC and the second best of the LCK, but often the best in the world, T1. Let's make our way
back-to-back defending world champions. So
technically at the moment,
they are the second
best
seed
from the LCK.
That's how I would put it. Second seed,
sure.
You know?
And there we are. Labrov moves up towards the top side early on.
Yep. It is really important, even just playing for the wards, because even if you don't think there's going to be like a full-on cheese gank or something like that, being able to actually get the ward in that mid-brush is so important in these melee versus range matchups, because otherwise all that happens is this range champion pops out, hits you back into the brush, drops him in the aggro over and over and over and over. So that is why he is up there. I think he is expecting that Keria or someone would be up there dropping a ward. And of course, Leona has the ability, especially if you do see that ward going down, you just level Q, you can instantly kill the ward by yourself, and that can shift these matchups. But T1 elected not to actually get up there and place a ward, so it is just going to be a ward in that far back brush for Doran. And BB will know that and will be able to play around it, but still can use that mid brush to do, just as I was saying, drop that minion aggro.
Yeah. Just dash out, get those extra auto attacks in with the tumble. The last time we saw a Vayne top from an EU team here at MSI, it was Kana, and he tumbled directly into a Gnar wallop. So I'm hoping for better fortunes for Broken Blade today. He is 3-0 on this Vayne across the course of his career. Caps and Faker trading in the mid lane. Frost into the Frostbite. We'll take Faker down to about half, and it's double Deathfire Grasp in the mid lane, so that damage will tick over a little bit more.
It is also worth noting that it is going to be Exhaust on the Vayne. It is not going to be Ghost. It is not going to be Cleanse that you sometimes do see against the Renekton as well. So is depending upon that Exhaust. In the early level all-ins against lethal tempo with Exhaust, you can never get bait into a trade or it will go bad. But we got to talk about the history between these two teams dating all the way back to 2016. You can see it started out very T1 favored, but
Zenith Blade forward should just walk away, using that aftershock to tank up a little bit of damage. But as you say, moving on to 2019, when it was
the golden
G2
era.
favored, the golden era for G2, and then since then has not gone their way. In fact, they've only won a single best of 1 against T1 in the last 7 years, excluding Red Bull League of its Own, where G2 did win last time. So I'm taking that G2, obviously the better team right now.
But they did go 5 games in 2024,
that
right?
Is true.
And I think to me that means a lot. You know, that shows that they can actually get close, they can be competitive. Earlier level 3 from T1, G2 got to be careful here.
Sweep in from Keria. Zenith Blade doesn't connect, and the hookshot wall dive there from Keria used defensively. And stepped forward with the tactical sweep for the slow, precision protocol, and then knew he could get out of the fight.
Yeah, you can see Hans going for the Doran's helm, so very defensive. Oner does have the HP advantage.
Yeah, I mean, SkewMond spotted Oner, and we do have a pause. As I see Caps being back to the mid lane.
I think it's probably on the G2 side, just based on the player cam. SkewMond was looking over. We'll let you know as soon as we do find anything out. But a little bit surprised SkewMond actually just kind of walked out, seeing Oner there, because Oner is full health, and that is going to mean he's going to get pushed back almost immediately. He can flag and drag out. He shouldn't die or anything weird, but you know, generally when you know you can't win the 1v1 and you don't have necessarily that backup from your lanes, you'll just go the other side of the map.
My other thought was, and we're not going to pontificate too much about why a pause has happened,
we'll just wait
Caps was TPing right back into lane, so maybe there was an error with the shop if he auto-board or something. Sometimes that can happen. We'll find out what it is, and then we'll tell you as soon as we know. So
the update is that it was a G2 pause. It was Hansama having issue with the comms on stage, so they're going to be, you know, adjusting his levels, fixing up whatever it is. You know, maybe he just couldn't hear his teammates as well as he wanted to. And hopefully that will be able to get fixed pretty quickly.
This is actually deep EU magic, by the way.
Okay.
Have you heard of the Fnatic pause hack?
I have, yes.
Well, G2 have adopted it. Fnatic haven't made this international. So
I don't know if you want to be bringing Fnatic stuff into a best of 5.
What different skills can we adopt from other teams in our region? You know, we'll take KC losing 0-3, right? So they've already adopted that.
Okay.
Now they're taking the Fnatic pause hack and incorporating that into their skill set. This is what G2 do so well in Europe. They just grab different bits from different teams. Like, oh, we can do this, we can do that.
I feel like G2 are doing pretty well against Fnatic for the last, well, ever since
Caps
Caps
keep stealing their strats, dude.
I thought it was more about stealing the players.
No, I mean that.
More about getting
that
Caps.
happened a long time ago.
Like, well,
but yes, that is probably.
That was a quality steal.
It was a very good.
That was a high value steal.
You're stealing home with that one, aren't you? It's definitely gone well for G2. Caps has been their main man for a while. For T1. You continue to see them go from success to success, but MSI has actually been a bit of a thorn in their side, I will say. 2017, the last time they won. They have won twice.
A little Huni magic.
A little Huni magic back in those days. But
need some holo.
Yes. And again, T1 showing us you can adopt EU magic. Yes, exactly, Azael. We're on the same page.
Absolutely.
But yeah, T1 often level up across the course of the entire year. And then when you get to Worlds, never count them out. You always know that T1 are going to show up at Worlds. But MSI has been a bit of a struggle for them over the last few years, and we'll see if that changes. They did lose to BOG, so this is, as you said at the start of the day, an elimination match between these two games.
Yeah, and I will give the caveat that a bit of a struggle for their standards.
Yeah,
right?
they went 5 games.
They went 5 games against Gen G in the finals.
Exactly.
And so it's, you know, me personally being from the LCS, I would be happy to take on those struggles. You know,
same.
I only got to the finals and got to game 5.
Faker, if you want the weight off your shoulders, we'll take that.
That could be us.
Yep.
we'll happily lose in the finals.
You have.
Yeah.
A couple of times, in fact. COG and
happily.
TL, We'll happily win at the finals again if we can. But for now, we're going to get back on into game, as it seems like the comms issue has been solved. SkewMond is being forced away by the Dustbringer out of Oner. The lower health he had, making it a bit tricky for him to really take this fight. You can see Broken Blade thinking about moving from the top side. Faker with the push in mid, though now SkewMond will just... I mean, he keeps stepping back. It feels a little greedy to continue to look for this play, especially with Keria moving out on the map, where he's also on top side. Doran slices, dices, but is still taken out by BB.
Yeah, Doran got way too far forward there, and SkewMond has Labrov behind him, so that's what he was trying to delay for. He was trying to keep them messing around here because they had the move from Labrov. Keria's there as well, but Doran with the overstep, and that is what I'm saying. When you were playing against Vayne, early game, lethal tempo plus exhaust, no matter how good the trade looks, it's almost impossible to win the all-in, and obviously he was moving up there because BP had the first move into the river, was looking to actually support at that Scuttle Crab. Doran thought he had an ability to actually push out that wave, but well played there by Broken Blade. Flash follow, finishes him off with the Silver Bolts, proccing that with the Condemn, and that was nicely done, and not the start that you want if you are a Doran, because this matchup is very difficult. Anyway, and it just looks like a bit of a greedy base. He thought he had the reset here, and BB says, you know what? You can't actually take it from this position. And Doran, I think, hesitated a bit on, like, can I fight? Can I run? Took that split second to
Meanwhile,
decide.
the Razorbeaks, as a Fear tether onto Labrov. He flashes away, still hit by the Fear. Caps can't move from mid lane again because Faker is holding him pinned beneath that tower. This was really nice from Keria. After taking the topside Scuttle Crab, he actually pathed into the G2 jungle towards the Razorbeaks to stop Labrov from stepping forward. And then, as the bot side Scuttle Crab was taken by Oner, he stepped in towards the Razorbeaks as well to try and contest those.
And look at this, SkewMond trying to move up and actually get something here. Faker has been pushed back, he's out of mana, so now Caps can move in to assist because SkewMond got double scuttled.
And now Oner on the wrong side of that crystallize does still have flash. Keria on his way. Faker stayed around. The Razorbeaks almost secured, down to 200 as Caps tries to trade in. Keria across the wall will get 1/5 tether towards the top side as well as Caps is already down to Faker. Labrov too late. SkewMond has to flash across the wall. Oner flashes for the chase, and G2 are just too damn greedy. T1 punish them for their hubris.
It's a horror from G2 here, as Keria has the first move, and yeah, Faker is low on mana, but still able to actually contribute, and you can't win that 1v1 realistically as Jarvan into the Nocturne, so as long as they kept Caps busy, it was always going to be tough, and then SkewMond flashing up, I just don't see a way in which he was going to get out, because he was kind of just flashing straight into Doran anyway, and it's a good couple of kills there for T1 after BB did open the scoring. Faker comes around here, realizes he's going to be able to back him up, and this spell shield coming in, they land the fear on the top side, and Caps had no egg, which I think he must have lost off screen. We didn't actually see that. So Keria comes in, able to easily get that kill, and then SkewMond flashes over the wall. Doran is there, realizes, you know what, I don't want to give it to him. I don't want to give over an additional assist. But SkewMond looking pretty frustrated already.
Yeah, he's lost both Scuttle Crabs. I think he lost his Razorbeaks, and he's lost the Razorbeak fight, and then he's lost his life. Labrov too late to join. Petrifying Gaze does not hit onto Caps, as a bird just flaps his way over that snake.
And it is, I mean, I think Faker, you know, he's not known for the laning phase, but I do think in general. Oh!
Keria looks for Caps, flashes, doesn't get the hookshot wall dive. Faker there with the miasma. Labrov forced to walk away. Paranoia, paranoia! Everyone's out to get you. Caps as Shroud of Darkness comes down onto Oner. Underneath the tower, he takes a couple of shots. Caps with a great crystallize will lock Oner against the wall. Shield of Daybreak for the stun. Flash Frost for the follow! And Oner is frozen in the enemy jungle while Broken Blade tries to trade with Doran towards this top side. Final hour has been used. Dashes away from the Dominus and won't go for any much further trading. Behind the tower, behind the alcove though, he gets sliced up by Doran. No escape for the Vayne.
Yeah, that is tough. That was your one winning lane right there. And now he gets solo killed by Doran. Broken Blade had not spent his money for quite a long time, and Doran comes back with steel caps and says, you haven't based. You're sitting on a lot of gold. After the death, BB combined his two daggers into the upgraded Greaves, bought the Ruby Crystal and the Longsword. So he was sitting on about 1,000 gold this early on, which is almost a totality of combat power that Doran had.
Labrov and SkewMond looking for Oner here. The reaction from Keria, fast, rapid as he tries to get across here in time. The True Shot Barrage will take out the T1 jungler. And this is what G2 can do well. When they get Labrov and SkewMond on the same page, they can look for these picks, look for these plays. T1, though, still with a 400 gold lead, mostly through Oner and Faker.
Yeah, credit, though, to Labrov. He has been good on the map, moving around really well, and Caps, you know, we didn't really get to talk about it because we went right into that 1v1, but a good job by him. Labrov covers him, and he gets this well-timed flash over the wall to kind of disjoint this. Keria looks for the E-flash, and a rare misstep, a bit short change there from Keria, not able to quite close the distance. They say, Caps is so low, I can just go in and finish him off. But the exhaust mid-air from Labrov comes through and reduces the damage of the ultimate as it lands. That allows Caps to survive. He flashes over the wall, and they're able to finish him off with the auto attacks. And then this is tough. When you don't have a ward for that further up brush, notice how Doran plays on the edge here. He's basically just holding on to that line, not allowing him to walk in. He had his ward this whole time, waits for the cooldowns to come back off by basically just holding the edge of that brush, because you can't win that fight in melee range with Dominus up. So he pushes him back, waits for the cooldowns, goes over the wall with the ward and kills him. Really well played there by Doran, and a pretty big mistake from BB, fighting without having bought yet.
Yeah, not actually using any of that gold lead as the flash Zenith Blade goes in. Paranoia on the backline. That's going to be the egg out of Caps, but the fear going out, he manages to escape. SkewMond's already killed off Faker. TPs from either side as Peyz joins the battle, as does Hans Summer. Oner in the midst of them all, caught out in the Cataclysm, and now locked in the cage by G2. Broken Blade trading with Peyz towards the bottom side. He condemns him back as he condemned him to death. The good satchel allows Peyz to extricate himself, but G2 still win out on the finest. Hans Summer forces the flash, a True Shot Barrage, that's not connecting. Peyz went up, not to the side.
But that was still great for G2 there. Looked like a 3-for-1, I believe, at the end of the day for G2. We can watch this one more time. T1 are trying to look for a play set up here onto Caps. You know, they're trying to get pushed through mid, but you can see Labrov had moved into the river. Faker used that ult early and then flashed in to try to finish off Caps. Wasn't able to do it, so he was missing really all of his resources. And that is what prompts Labrov to go in. Faker walks up, you know, no Petrifying Gaze, no flash. In comes SkewMond, in comes BB. Immediate flash forward there from Labrov. Great target selection. And watches BB just kind of fights through Keria, ignoring him to take him down. Then kiting back here on the side, flashes out from that bouncing bomb that Peyz throws over. And even with Doran getting into the middle of everyone, he flash follows, but the egg is back up, and that is all he gets for his life. So great job there, absorbing the pressure from Faker in the mid lane, and then Labrov to punish. Labrov, I think, is playing an excellent game.
Had some really good games against top esports as well. And for SkewMond, that series against Hanwha Life was not acceptable. I think for a lot of G2 players, it was not. Says he clearly got stomped. We need to bounce back, and this early game has been showing that they can fist fight in that first 15 minutes of the game. Keria is looking up towards this top side as Doran tries to get on top of Broken Blade. Final hour to try and get away. Broken Blade looking for the silver bolts. Keria going forward. BB dashes away, uses the invisibility well. SkewMond flag drag, Caps here too. BB, you just can't find him! You just can't find that Broken Blade! And with it, he'll slice you up a double for Caps.
Beautifully played there. The TP immediately from Caps. SkewMond coming in to back him up, uses the flash, and Broken Blade buys so much time. He had no summoners, but he uses the final hour. Notice how he's not auto-attacking during the tumble Qs, allowing the invis to stay full duration there. And again, Keria just short on a critical hookshot. The same thing happened mid. This time, he guessed right the way that Broken Blade was going to go. He did go for the hookshot up, but couldn't quite get in range. Broken Blade bought enough time there for Caps to arrive. And that is a 2,000 gold lead here now for G2. It started quite well for T1, but these last couple skirmishes going heavily the way of the LEC, and we can watch it one more time. And you can look on the minimap, both Keria and SkewMond immediately are coming up here, and they're waiting to try to combo the Renekton stun into the hookshot. But then look at this, it couldn't quite get in range. BB is invis, lets it go full time. Keria guesses slightly wrong, knew he went up, but went a bit to the side, expecting a juke. Bought the time for Caps to arrive. SkewMond flashes in, gets the flag and drag knock up, and once Doran goes down, there's no damage from Keria to make anything happen. And G2 getting into a very comfortable position now. Gold leads across the map here. Early Roa finished up there by Caps, and G2 feeling like they're cruising.
But we have seen T1 in this sort of position before. Their team fighting is what puts them head and shoulders above other teams. They have fought back from much, much wider gold gaps than this. I think it was 6K in the TL series that they managed to battle back from.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't won until their Nexus has exploded, right? Like, that is the reality, is these are playmakers.
Exhaust on Doran, no flash for him. Slices first flag and drag there for the follow-up, and Doran just doesn't get a chance to move. Broken Blade with his second of the game. Yeah,
really well played, just goes in. They commit a lot of resources there, but they make sure of the kill, and now Oner.
Shroud of Darkness, Cataclysm, he has to flash out of that. The follow-up from Labrov was there, has the Solar Flare as he's gone to level 6. Keria is down towards this bottom side looking for Caps, but Caps is just recalling.
Yeah, I mean, this is just really well played. I mean, Anivia, tough to dive with the passive, clears out waves, has the wall. Ezreal also very tough to attack, you know, really shifty character. So they can send their resources constantly up here to help out BB. And it's tough for T1 to punish elsewhere on the map. And also, they're not really winning the 2v2s and the 3v3s right now either. So it does become a pretty difficult problem to solve here for T1. I mean, we see Labrov just walk up, uses the exhaust immediately for the slow on to Doran, get the CC. Oner knows he can't fight. They know that Keria is not there, and he can't make a cross-map play, so it's just fantastic from G2.
Good bit of vision from Keria towards the red buff and towards the Razor Beaks of G2's jungle. Next objective, though, still a minute 20 away, and we'll be on the top side of the map with that Rift Herald spawning. G2 were able to take the 3 grubs as T1 took the Drake, so we have that exchange of neutrals, but G2 did managed to get a little bit more gold in their pockets as they were giving up that dragon. Paranoia onto Hans Summer, no way out for him. Great combination there from T1.
They are going to be able to take him down, but that was not an easy kill. That is flash ult from Keria, that's ult from Peyz, that's Nocturne ult, so that is quite a lot of resources spent to kill him. They are going to get some plates off the back of this, though, as Ziggs going to go to work on that tower. So nicely done there by T1. They know they cannot allow the G2 carries to just safely farm. You need to have some sort of pressure on them. Thankfully for G2, though, Hans does go down, but doesn't even use his flash.
Yeah, I think as soon as he's in the hexagon, all you're doing is flashing over to the other side of the wall and you're dead anyway. There's a massive bomb about to land on your head as Doran's forced back a little bit by Broken Blade. Those ultimates, though, already half the way off their cooldown, should be up about 15-20 seconds after the Rift Herald has spawned, apart from the Hexagon Maiden, which will take a little bit longer as Oner trades with Labrov. But Labrov puts up the Eclipse, also has the Protoplasm Harness complete. So if he does dive on towards that backline, has a little bit of extra healing. The rest of T1 on their way across, and G2 for a moment will have to fight a 2v4. Solar Flare lands the double stun. No way out really for Labrov. He's going to have to flash the wall. Broken Blade try to trade with Doran, but a flash with this Predator into the Predator gaze doesn't quite get the CC. BB looking the right way to avoid Medusa's gaze.
Yeah, it is a trade of flashes between the top laners there. They get the flash off of Labrov as well, though, as this time T1 bring the extra member. But look at Caps in the bot lane. That is the cost here. So T1, no, we need to get more because we are losing plates down here in this bot side. We are losing minions down here in this bot side, so they are pushing for this neutral. Going to be able to grab the Herald here, I think, uncontested. But no one goes down. Trade of sums. Caps gets gold. So for now, G2 still pretty happy about the play.
Yeah, it's still about a 2,000 gold lead for them as the Flash Frost comes out from Caps. Chips away at Doran with the Glacial Storm alongside it. Labrov is looking around that blue buff area, but Doran will be pretty hard to dive, even with his Dominus down.
I will say Broken Blade needs to be pretty careful for these next couple of minutes. You know that Nocturne ult is now going to be back up after their earlier play. You know you have no flash, and it will be difficult to find an outplay there. And T1 know it. They're sending 3 members top. Even if they can't kill him, they want to zone him off this turret. But G2 have moved way faster on this bot lane. They're going to be able to get the first tower for sure. So BB just needs to evacuate. Just get out of there, accept it.
As soon as you see Keria on the ward, you're out of there. There's no point staying around. You could try to outplay, but you'd purely be trying to outplay.
That'd be a Vayne spotting moment.
It would be in vain, as you'd say, yes. Broken Blade steps back as Oner did start his recall. Will be spotted walking away on the ward that G2 had there. Caps in as well, using his teleport. There's the Drake. Mega Inferno Bomb comes down. T1 might want to fight this. Caps has just TP'd away, and Broken Blade doesn't have his TP up. Because of that, G2 begin to back away. Keria looking for the paranoid. Grey Hex, they automate him to stop the flag and drag out. Means that it has to be a flash invested from the G2 jungler. Caps has moved down from top to try and make this a 4v5.
I think Labrov CC'd up Oner, though, so he couldn't actually get in range to ult in onto SkewMond because Oner activated the ult, but he never was anywhere to be found. So I have to assume that he was just out of range, was trying to use the Hextech ultimatum to get there. And I see Labrov had used his ultimate, so my assumption is he stopped him from actually getting in range. Even though Oner is level 10, he's not 11, doesn't have the additional range on that ulti yet. So would love to see that replay, but I'm assuming it was Labrov saving him. And yeah, Labrov just runs straight up, blocked by James, locks him down, not quite in range. Otherwise, SkewMond would be dead. Not only does that save a kill, that means you get a dragon here in a situation where you otherwise wouldn't have.
Broken Blade can get chased down here for a second, carry on his way. As you say, there's the Drake to G2. Second of the game. And one apiece so far. That gold lead not extending for G2 so far. T1 have done a good job of kind of curbing any enthusiasm that G2 had as T1 take a tower on the top side. Faker gets himself a very slight gold lead, 32 ahead, but lead still for Broken Blade and for SkewMond on the side of G2.
Yeah, still feeling pretty comfortable here. It's going to be about the team fights, though. It had opened up to, I want to say, around maximum 2.5, 2.8K lead for G2, but T1 closing that gap now down to 800, which really means it's nothing. It's about the execution in the 5v5s, which is where T1 really earned their reputation. This team is just so good, has so many playmakers. Faker and Doran, people can be critical of their laning, but you cannot be critical of the team fighting, of the ability to find the right angle, to find the right moment. And these top LCK and LPL teams have shown time and time again this event that they are so fast at pulling the trigger when you make a mistake. Sometimes you don't even know that you have made it yet, and they already know they won the fight.
They're so good at that. Also really good at getting the vision control whenever they do have a point of pressure. They get a lot of wards down towards that bottom side, which allows Doran to push up, but also stops Broken Blade from catching the wave any further up. And it means that Labrov then has to spend his time around that red, clearing out vision, putting down a control ward of his own. And now G2 will try and push forward and get a bit of control towards this top side. Caps with a slight gold lead in the coin-based gold grind. As Dominus comes out, there's a paranoia on his way as well as Oner's looking for this. They need to spot the Vayne. It might just be the Dominus and nothing more. Broken Blade wisely not stepping up. You can see SkewMond on his way across. Dominus about to expire, and BB waited it out well. Solar Flare on Faker. Zenith played there for the follow-up. Great Petrifying Gaze. Clips Cap's wings for a second, but with a True Shot barrage coming down, and the exhaust there as well. Faker's going to have to work some magic to get out of this one. The rest of T1 are on the offensive, though. Faker will fall, but at what cost for G2? The dive in with the Hextech Ultimatum as Caps has turned into drumsticks. Labrov, no Protoplasm Harness can save you from Peyz as the chase continues for T1, and Labrov falls to the bouncing bomb.
And G2 fall prey to the Faker global taunt, calls him up to that top lane, buys enough time with his flash and with the Petrifying Gaze, catching Caps in this moment. And the Avengers flood in. Yeah. Everyone from T1 does arrive up on that top side to help Faker punish G2 for that play. Still, though, it is a lot spent by T1 to get up there, and G2 do get a kill of their own. But it's just all about the delay. You look at the minimap here, you realize everyone is coming very quickly. Look at the time that they are responding. Immediately, you see Keria moving up. Immediately, you see Peyz moving up. Immediately, you see TPs coming through from Doran. Double teleport, everyone running. They are there to protect Faker, and he narrowly gets taken down. If he was able to avoid just a tiny bit more damage, Caps had been egged there, so Labrov was really out of damage, and if he lived for another second, it would have been a 2 for 0.
Yep. Great reactions overall from T1. Had that deep vision as well with that ward further up in the lane, meaning the double TP from Peyz and Doran was easy to execute. The setup around the Baron right now, no surprises as it's 21 minutes into the game, and T1 do like their quick Barons when they can find them.
Yeah, we haven't talked much about Hans because the game hasn't really been about bot lane, but he has picked up 3 kills, right? You know, he got some with True Shot Barrage. He's been kind of lightly involved in some of these skirmishes. Mostly him and Peyz have just been kind of farming. But Hans is at quite a strong point in the game, working towards his 3rd item alongside Peyz. And he is going to be really important, I feel like, in these fights. Ezreal on 3 items is absolutely a beast, and they are going to need multiple threats here to be able to deal with T1, because they can dive and one-shot someone. The rest of the members of G2 have to then step up. If they one-shot BB or Caps, you got to go big if you're those other carries.
BB running up from the bottom side. Faker looks towards top lane to see if he can push out there. There's a couple of pings from T1 on wards that G2 had placed in the top lane bushes. Possible flank positions for a TP. Drake up in 30 seconds, and looks like T1 have entered stage left as they look down towards that dragon instead of the Baron.
The other thing I really like for G2 in this game is that they are playing double exhaust, and it's not even Spellbook exhaust as BB.
Broken Blade dodging away from Keria, who tries to find him with the flash. The blast cone there for him, will use it after the Hextech Ultimatum, pulled back straight into the waiting arms of Peyz, who gets his 3rd of the game.
Yeah, Keria looks for the hookshot flash, does not find it, but it doesn't matter because he finds him with the ultimatum.
Solar Flare down onto Faker. Zenith played there for the follow-up. A Petrifying Gaze will buy him a couple of seconds, but with the Flash Frost coming in, Faker is no longer on the rip. Paranoia used in response. It's only Oner here, but he's enough, it seems. The chase away from Caps and Labrov with Keria on his way. A flash from the Shield of Daybreak, but the Frostbite burns him down. G2 able to take a 2 for 1 on the top side. Meanwhile, Doran and Peyz stayed bot to get the tier 2.
Man, this is a crazy game. So much action here. Almost a kill a minute. Well, it is a kill a minute now at this point, pretty much. It's 21 kills in 23 minutes here. But Doran is literally hitting the base towers, and no one responding yet here from G2, so they have to back it up and look to play for that. Dragon is on the map here as well. And that ultimate from Peyz is actually pretty important because it's going to hurt the tempo even more so from G2, who did overstay a bit on this top side, whereas the solo laners from T1 have already based. They're coming out. Doesn't look like they want to rush in towards Dragon, though. Instead, just playing to get vision around this Baron, so it's not going to amount to too much.
And TP coming out from Caps, who does have a 1.5 thousand gold lead. Keria in the vicinity, looking to see perhaps if there's a way for him to take down this bird.
And he has Seekers, so that's going to make it that much more difficult. And what I was going to touch on before is normally the only time you see double exhaust is if there's spellbooks, right? They actually are just straight up playing double exhaust. And exhaust scales insanely well as far as a summoner. So when you're looking at these late game team fights, a properly timed exhaust on a Nocturne, on a Cassio, on a Ziggs, on a Renekton can be game changing and is so much more valuable than a heal or a barrier late on into the game. So is something really working in the favor of G2 if they can use this exhaust to great effect.
Definitely agree. T1, they'll be looking to catch people out, get that dive in with the Paranoia Hextech Ultimatum combo. BB trade, well, not trading with Doran, just trading, pushing the lane up bit by bit as Faker just clears out the mid lane. True Shot Barrage comes across. G2 looking for a little bit control around this Drake that they will start. T1. Do you stick or do you twist? Looks like they've decided they're not sticking around. They'll go up towards the top side. They'll give the Drake over to G2.
Yeah, just second Dragon of the game, so no stress there for T1. They didn't feel like they had the proper setup, so instead they do just back off. But going to be really interested to see what defensive items that Hans does go for. We have been seeing more these days, usually only as like a 5th, 6th item, but AD carries go Seekers. And honestly, this is a game for Hans where I wouldn't mind seeing him legit go Zonias as like a 5th item instead of a GA. I feel like GA doesn't always get that much value, but if you just get Nocturne ulted with Ziggs ult coming in, or Hextech ultimatum with Ziggs ult coming in, and you just immune that, you're giving them so few good targets because you could have, you know, Zonia's already being worked towards on Caps. Broken Blade is going to be going for a much more tanky build on the Vayne top.
Keria going for Caps. He does have Egg, but in the Hexagon to made him in the Paranoia Solar Flare. There's the Seekers. The stopwatch from Caps with the Crystallize down. He will get scrambled. The question is, will the Egg fall as well? Super Mega Death Inferno Bomb enough with Faker and the Twin Fangs, and now T1 continue their advance. G2 on the retreat to their own jungle. Doran looking for the flank across towards the side, gets the Rufus Predator stun. Labrov's going to fall to T1 as Oner takes that kill. Summer stepping in, but he's on Miasma now. You don't step to Faker.
Flashes in and gets punished by the GOAT there. Goes forward, shifts in, could not flash out because of the miasma. Gives away another kill there, and we'll see, does T1 start the Baron? Looks like they want to. And with the Cassio, it is going to be going down in a hurry here. SkewMond is around, has ult, has no flash, but Peyz is going to be there to try to bodyguard. It's up to him and BB.
It's G2 V4, Doran with his Peyz, a flash across the wall. SkewMond Cataclysm doesn't come down in time. As with the final hour, maybe the final breaths here for Broken Blade. He'll get the enemy jungler, but it's not going to be enough. T1 know they have the time to take the Baron as G2 lose another 2 and lose the big purple worm.
That one really hurts as this fight gave such big rewards over to T1. No hesitation. As they move in here with multiple members, you can see they had 4 members topside. They were hunting for Caps, and as soon as they see him for a split second, instantly Keria goes in. He just caught a hint that he was there, but G2 is on a reset timer. Look at all the rest of their members. They're just now joining the fight, as Caps can't really do anything at all in this one. G2 has to go into a full retreat. They do one-shot Keria as he goes in, but Doran then steps over the wall. Labrov goes down, and that was the reaction to the mistake we didn't get to see in the replay, but Hans shifted forward, Faker had the miasma, and then you cannot flash out, you cannot outplay it, you get taken down. And with Hans going down, that really did result in the Baron. If he had stayed alive, maybe with a 3-man contest, you could actually stop them.
You have a little bit of poke there as well. With the Vayne and the Jarvan, you don't have enough. You have to really face check into them. As now it's a 3,000 gold lead for T1. They have this Red Bull Baron power play for the next 2 minutes alongside it. A hat for Peyz alongside the Void Staff, the Shadow Flame, and the Luden's Echo. Like, the Hextech ultimatum into a Mega Inferno Bomb is going to hurt as they look for Caps again. The flash from Keria, and here's the combo. Solar Flare, stopwatch, Peyz brings down the bomb, but Caps flash out of it in time. Petrifying Gaze doesn't land the stun. The Crystallize to try and divide the fight. True Shot Barrage coming across the side as Labrov does fall low, healing up. Not enough from the Protoplasm. SkewMond gets across and dives on Faker. The Cataclysm down. SkewMond heals with the Sundered Sky as Broken Blade tries to dive on the back line, and T1 have stepped a little bit too far. And G2 are punishing. Doran will fall. A 3-for-1 so far in the exchanges. Summer wants more out of it. You'd think he'd be a little bit more apprehensive of Arcane shifting forward after how it went last time, but this time no miasma to meet him.
Yeah, this time Faker goes a little bit too deep, trying to finish off Labrov. Really wanted to get that kill onto Leona. Is able to take him down, but then G2 realized, all right, if we actually kill Faker here, that's the highest consistent DPS threat that is there. So the initial fight goes in, but look at how much time this stasis buys. He's able to flash out of the Ziggs ult, and then here's Faker going very deep on the side. He sees Labrov is low, they get the satchel, he goes in, but he's tanking the tower during this, and the Flash Frost there from Caps catches him. He gets locked in by SkewMond. That buys space for Broken Blade. And Keria tries to go in with the hookshot onto BB. He can't get him. We're back to live.
Oner caught. Broken Blade looking for more as Keria dashes in. True Shot Barrage whistles behind Oner, who does use the Paranoia defensively. It was a 3-for-2 on the top side. SkewMond did die just on the end of it. Good satchel from Peyz. Drake up in 18 seconds here, Azael.
And you can see how threatening Broken Blade is in these moments, right? They realize you can't just run away from the final hour. He'll chase you down that spot. So Keria goes in to give his life. Doran goes in to give his life to try to buy space for those carries. Labrov here on the side looking to threaten, though. G2 have a pretty good angle.
No
Oner
flashes
split
at all on T1 right now. Hans has his. This is, in fact, the only flash that's available in the entire game. As G2 get control of the mid wave. T1, as you say, pathing towards topside. Peyz showing on the top lane without teleport means that T1 have given up this Drake. And Peyz will try and take a tower. We'll be able to do it quickly with the short fuse and the satchel.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see when we came out of the replay, how Oner was taking that damage. Looked like maybe they were trying to defend mid and they got chunked out, but he lost half of his health. And again, G2 has the better setup for the Dragon. T1 do have the gold lead. They're playing the map well. They have maintained this advantage for a little bit. But G2 now are on sole point, and that will more than erase the gold lead if they are able to claim it. T1 have no more cards to give. They can't just say, you know what, you have this Dragon for free, we're going to trade. They will be punished next time, so we're going to have to see how the setup will be, because you can look at the setup currently around this one. Look at all the vision here from G2, all of these wards in the area. They even had a deep ward over on that other side. And that is what prompted T1 to say, you know what, we actually can't get in. We're just going to have to give this one up.
I think the question is as well, we have a Baron before that Drake, Azael, and T1 around a Baron is something always to be feared.
It is, but I really think that Baron is fake news in this season. I think it is so much weaker than in the past. Even games sometimes where you take 2, 3, 4 Barons, it feels like it's not actually getting it done.
Okay.
If you have extremely powerful side laners, I think Baron is really becoming pretty valuable. But I just don't think Baron has that same level of power. So to me, it's like, even if T1 gets a Baron and you get Soul, you are so heavily advantaged unless you make a critical error and you get picked off during the Baron. Because if you all die during the Baron, then obviously the game is just over.
Yeah. And here's a pick, perhaps, as the paranoia goes in. Broken Blade with the final hour, still going to get feared, and Doran's here to help. Peyz comes in just to make sure that the LEC top laner is taken out. T1 find a pick.
Yeah, and the critical thing here is the timing, right? Because 50 seconds on Broken Blade's death timer, 50 seconds on the Baron. So they may try to instantly start it, but BB, it's hard to see his teleport cooldown. I think it might be up by the time he respawns. It's going to be close. On that roll quest TP, we'll see.
It is difficult to see on this overlay.
It is really hard to see.
Especially when it's in the grayscale.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
It'll be close.
Yeah, it definitely will. T1 are pushing through mid and bot while they have a player advantage. G2 trying to find them. It's Shroud of Darkness from Oner will spell shield the Solar Flare. Keria and Faker alongside Peyz able to take down the mid tower. The gold lead extends to about 3.5k.
Yeah, and I mean, some critical items coming through, honestly, on both sides. Obviously, Caps working towards that death cap, desperately wants to get it before the next major fight. Faker has completed his 4 items, getting very tanky, very powerful, has had the actualizer for a bit. And Peyz, as we know, already had that death cap, already had all the flat pen, but now has a Seeker's Arm Guard on top. So, the luxury items.
That was nice from SkewMond. The Oracle's Alteration gives him the silhouette and then steps back because of it. Faker uses Petrifying Gaze, should be back before the next big fight.
Yeah, but that is well played, unless G2 want to force now, because the Baron is up, right? So if they want to say, you don't get to wait, we're actually just going to start this, of course there is risk with that, and it looks like G2 more want to play for vision here. They want to make sure that T1 don't have any Baron shenanigans going on, but Labrov is in a little bit of a spooky spot here, but has the team around him.
Item-wise, we have a Zhonya's complete on Peyz. He has 5 full items. A Guardian Angel for Oner as well. Vital, the Actualizer and the Crypt Bloom for Cassio. On the other side, an Endless Hunger for Hun Summer. And they need Rabadon's Death Cap actually for Caps, just finished up.
Yeah, and Endless Hunger to me is where Ezreal kind of reaches late game, right? Where you get so much ability haste from this. You essentially have no cooldowns on your Q. You hit a Q, the Q is back up. And if you're on point with that, you really can start to tear through these fights. And Broken Blade really going in with the Stormrazor, obviously, has the Hexblade, so he's going to have a ton of move speed between Final Hour, between Stormrazor proc, and is going to be pretty difficult to lock down. But of course, if you make a misstep on Vayne, you're so reliant on the invis, on the mobility. If you get stunned, you can get one shot. He has no QSS. There is no Mikhail's on Labrov, so he's got to be so careful about how he positions.
Yeah, he really does. You can see G2 really realizing that their side waves are not in a good spot. They have to back away. There was a moment where I thought T1 might just rush it for the inhib tower, but Caps is back here in time. 55 seconds on the Infernal. Soul possible for G2. There's the Rabadons that we talked about for Caps. And on its way, another item before Broken Blade. But we're at that point where it does just feel like it's execution more than anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we are fully at that point. 2K, yeah, 2K is nice if it results in a completed item. You can see some of those big items, obviously. We've talked about the couple Zonias that are in the game. The GA is there for Oner. These are the things that matter. But if it does not result in an item completion, the 2K gold, it just means absolutely nothing at this point in the game. And the question is, who is going to execute better in these moments? A lot of squishy targets on both sides. But I do think for T1, it gets harder and harder and harder to find that perfect target. If you full send on Caps, he has Zonias. If you full send on Broken Blade and he gets into the final hour and is invis, that can be tough too.
Doran looking for a flank. We'll feel the pain of the storm from Caps. Solar Flare doesn't land the slow, and because of that, G2 will not fight any further. Infernal Drake begun by T1. You feel G2 are just saying, okay, we'll play for Baron. We'll pull you over here. Infernal Drake stopped by T1 as G2 start up the Baron, and this is it. Do or die in this game one of this best of 5. T1 begin to collapse. The battle line's drawn between the two teams as Keria dives in. The Mega Inferno Bomb just kills Broken Blade exactly where he stands, and now it's all on SkewMond and Hans Summer alongside Labrov to get this one through, but it's a double already for Peyz, while Doran distracts and delays G2 from getting any closer to the damage dealers. Baron secured. Keria hit by a flash. Frost dives to the side of Caps, but with the rest of T1 here for the chase. Caps is doomed. A bouncing bomb and flashed across, but there's no tower here to save him. Keria could go back in, but Caps with the storm will slow him down, try and take him out. He dodges to the side of the Malignants and manages to walk out of the fight.
A little bit of Caps magic there to stay alive, and SkewMond limped out of there with about 5% HP as well, so they still have a chance. They're actually pinging onto the Dragon here. T1's trying to reset. SkewMond already did so, and they're going to TP in on the flag here. Peyz is in the area.
Up. Mega Inferno Bomb already back up. The flag will spot Peyz. Hans Summer across the wall, trying to take it down. True Shot Barrage clips onto Peyz. 4K on the Dragon. Mega Inferno Bomb once again! T1 just pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
It used to be Guma, and now it's Peyz. The T180 carries and stealing objectives. Oh my God, that was a big one. That is the denial of soul, and that is a tough one. To be fair, yes, Smite has been buffed in this season, but that is a Ziggs on full items, combining the ult with the Q. So I want to see that one back in slow-mo, because that is not an easy Smite. That is not a gimme at this stage in the game.
There was a moment, I think it dropped below 1,000, but it was purely for a moment. The timing from Peyz, pretty impeccable, as now G2 have to rebuild their ranks behind their inhibitor towers. T1 have the Baron for the next 1 minute 20. A lot of EU fans are praying that Azael's wise words come true. Baron is not the game ender anymore. It's not as strong as it used to be, which is definitely the case. The catalyze from Caps unable to catch Oner out.
I mean, honestly, I think it's very hard for T1 to end without a team fight outside of the base. I think if you push up and you try to dive to close the game, you're probably going to die. We can watch this one more time. Let's see how low it gets. They're trying to rush it down before Oner can get there. 1,737.
Yeah, you had that moment.
Yeah, it was a split second, and that slowed down, and it was a split second. The ult did 1,300 damage, and the Q landed at the same time. I mean, that is just beautifully played there by Peyz, and what can you do? I mean, it's frustrating for sure, but that is not one. There are outplays and there are misplays. This is just a great play from Peyz. This is not some horrible misplay that SkewMond should get flack for.
It's an error. It's not an unforced error.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you there. As now G2 trying to step out of their base. Broken Blade was pushing out the top side. Hans Summer on his way across here. Nothing really to fight over apart from, a couple of jungle objectives and a bit of vision control, and that's exactly what both these teams are doing, locking horns, butting heads where they can. For G2, you now have the Fiend Hunter bolts completed on Broken Blade, which is a fitting item, I have to say, on the Vayne.
It is.
And you have the Serilders for Hans Summer. So he is almost caught up with Peyz, who only has a needlessly large rod over him, even though he's 3,000 gold ahead. Yeah,
and Hans has made the call that he doesn't need to go for a defensive item. Nice sidestep there by Labrov, avoids petrifying gaze. I talked about the potential tech of 5th, 6th items. Sometimes in a situation like this, people will go Zonias just to limit additional target. Sometimes people will go GA. Sometimes they go BT. Sometimes they go QSS. It really is kind of dealer's choice here. But Hans has said, you know what? I am not the one dying. I will play safe. I will punish you when you go on my other members who he believes are more vulnerable. And we'll see if he can position correctly to do that, right? Because if he never gets caught, this is absolutely a better build. Don't go defense, go full offense, and shred T1 when they engage on BB or Caps. But as we saw at that Baron, it's if you misstep at all, you are insta-dead, right? And Broken Blade, he is tankier than Hans, but he gets hookshot flashed, and he's dead before the stun ends, basically. So you have to make sure you are playing pixel perfect against Keria.
Labrov even getting the Knight's Vow, I think, to help out Hans Sommer in these fights. The extra healing he'll get off that if Hans Sommer is untouched will be absolutely monumental, absolutely huge.
For sure.
As now we see, again, both teams warily stepping out into the map. I think the T1 obviously have control, but even then we saw them going all the way back to their tier 1s when G2 was stepping forward. We have a minute 30 on Infernal, would be third for T1, would be Soul for G2. A minute 32 on the Baron as G2 do something we've seen them do quite a few times before, which is allow Caps to step out with the rest of the team shadowing.
From both teams. They're both going 5 top. And if one team gets the jump on the other, it could be pretty huge, but they are both very well aware. And man, the pressure in a game like this, playing in an elimination series, endgame scenario, 40 minutes in, you want to be the hero, but you do not want to be the person who missteps a little bit too far and costs your team a game, because you know to take down an opponent as tough as really either of these teams, you got to be on point. You can't give away games for free.
Importantly for T1, they have a little bit of vision behind G2. A ward towards the red buff, and actually a ward in the lane behind where Caps has walked. And G2, they've passed that with their sweeping. They're now trying to get their own deeper vision, but it's not that deep at all. What do we have in terms of TPs? Well, Doran's got his. Two-shot barrage takes the spell shield off of Peyz, but Labrov takes half his health for the pleasure of stepping forward.
Yeah, Peyz is now on full 6 items there. That Banshee's Veil obviously doing some work. Blocking that true shot barrage actually really important in a situation like this where they have to fight for this dragon. But Labrov getting chunked out is pretty tough. G2, though, has played for mid-prio. You can see BB has full
Keria
push.
was spotted. Keria was spotted on the flank as the Rift Scuttle Crab, the first target. SkewMond gets it. T1 force back Doran and Broken Blade trading in the mid lane. Keria looking for the flank. Crystallize doesn't find him. The Drake at 7k. T1 trying to find the poke. True Shot Barrage goes through Faker, takes a third of his health. BB the first to move here, but Doran TP's behind on that ward we previously mentioned. Paranoia out, the smite, 90 HP taken by Oner. And now the fight perhaps for T1 as the Paranoia goes in. The Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't collect anyone as Labrov is taken out first. Oner with the GA, Caps trying to walk away, flashes the wall, Doran condemned to death. Broken Blade trying to get out with the final hour. The flag and drag in as Hans Sommer kills Oner. Faker falling low, as is Keria and G2 still have 4 alive. And they want to make sure T1 don't walk out of this without another scratch, without another skirmish. Faker almost down, flag and drag out from SkewMond. The TP back in from Broken Blade as he wants to chase out Faker and Peyz.
They got to try to get out of there, but G2 don't want to let them base here. This is not going to be an easy way to get out. BB,
a final hour, gets onto Peyz, locks him against the wall and takes him down. Faker will escape. Faker will survive, and G2 only will get the Baron out of it. The Drake secured by T1.
And some big outplays on the side of G2. Caps was just dancing back and forth in his own ultimate, and Doran tried to get in range to actually stun him, and he just gets slowed so massively that he couldn't actually close the gap. Then Doran tried to flash in and get spaced completely. T1, the start of this is great. You can see they're going to TP in on the backside. They turn out the lights, make it very difficult on the contest. It went down to 90, but then watch up here. Look at Caps. Instead of running, he kites back into his ult, so the slow lands on Doran, and then Doran flashes, Hans shifts away, BB contends him, he can do nothing. Then, next up, Faker. BB had the sidestep on the ultimate there. He avoids it. Both the solo laners from T1 accomplish nothing with their flash forward, and Peyz was not able to hit the skill shots in this one. G2 were just sliding around that fight, dodging so many skill shots. 1 or 2 more bombs hit, and everyone on G2 could have been dead, but it just felt like Peyz could not hit anything. G2 played it out really well.
It's game 1, Azael. It's game 1 of the longest.
Lock in, buddy.
This is the longest game in MSI so far as Oner's Cork jumps in with the Paranoia onto SkewMond, and he does have Faker as backup, but that's the ultimate down.
And that was an ultimate not used offensively, that was used defensively. He's ulting away from the other G2 members towards SkewMond to get out. And we'll see Peyz just working to wave clear here. G2 On Soul Point, Ezreal T1 and this Baron doing some work, and there's the Seekers for Hans that we talked about so far ago. I really do think it's smart, especially with no flash being available here for Hans. Makes it so much harder.
Fine gaze onto Labrov, looking for the CC, can't land, it just gets the slow. G2 pushing in mid, Doran going to be answered by Hans Summer, and a couple of pings come out on him immediately as it's like, who? Why is the AD carry down here? Because Broken Blade can continue to push in on the bottom side.
And Hans has TP, so that's why he's answering right now. There's no TP on Broken Blade, so Hans answers with his teleport, so they can't get the extra man. Doran is trying to sneak in behind him, but G2 are pushing with this Baron.
Goes in with the slice with the dice, gets the Ruthless Predator, looking for the stun as Hans Summer just absolutely eviscerates him! Turned into shoes is the Croc! As G2 find a solo kill on the top side.
I mean, Hans made that look so easy. I never even saw the stun come out.
Nor did I. I was so sure it was going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there with Doran. Something definitely strange going on there. But now they're going to TP in. It's 45 seconds here on Doran. They've already lost 2 inhibs. And T1 need to hold on. Only 30 seconds left on that Baron buff, and then maybe they can wave clear, but G2 want to end game 1 right here, right now.
T1, everyone on the defense. The Nexus Tower is the first target for G2 as the miasma goes down and Caps chases Oner out. Caps has that X. First Nexus Tower fallen. G2 looking to raise the base of T1 and raise the flag for EU as the dive comes in. But the die comes in for T1. G2 defeats T1 in game 1. They take them out in the team fights.
Beautifully done here from G2. Even Broken Blade had a Seekers at the end. There's just no targets left for T1 to go for. 3 Zonias being built towards there, 2 exhausts as well. Great answers to the dive comp. AD, how about that for a game 1?
Let's go!
Hell yeah! Sorry for your headphone users. Sorry for
sorry for your ears and everybody watching at home. But guys, I thought we were cooked, and we find the solution.